Hey, so I'm known for talking about the history of role playing games. And so I wanted to talk about an interesting little side thing about the history of Dungeons and Dragons in particular. There was, before there was a D&D, before there was a TSR, there was a wargaming group called the Castle and Crusades Society. Their society was kind of a collective of wargaming enthusiasts across a certain region, and it was started by Gary Gygax and Rob Kuntz. And the interesting thing about Castles and Crusade Society is that they had a shared world that they had different individual home game war games going on in, and it was called the Great Kingdom. Now, the Great Kingdom had Greyhawk as part of it. This is before D&D ever came out. This was Gary's own private sort of world wargaming country inside the shared world of of the Great Kingdom. Blackmore, Dave Arneson's setting, also was part of this, and the individual war games that different people were running, they all had their own home rules and things like that, and that's where you get D&D, because Dave was doing his home game, which had a little more of the sort of role play side to it. It wasn't really what D&D was or would become, but it was in the neighborhood of it, and he shared it with Gary because they were all in the same society, and they started working on it. But those two settings are the first two settings for D&D. Um, there is a whole lot of history about what went on between Dave and Gary and those individual settings, but they got their start in the wargaming field before there were role playing games. When Greyhawk was eventually published, you could actually find the Great Kingdom being made part of Greyhawk. But yeah, in the original Great Kingdom map, like Blackmore was up at the north end of the country. Uh, when Dave and Gary had their falling out, Blackmore kind of got pulled back, and then eventually uh, Gary, like years later, uh, made peace with Dave and invited him to publish adventures set in his setting in Mystara. But originally, those were the two first D&D settings, and they started well before D&D came along.